Hello, Matthews Gatos here. In this video, we're going to look at metric measurements and how to convert between metric and imperial. So the metric measurement, sometimes called SI, which is the International System of Units, this is the type of measurements we use in Canada. Now, not just Canada, look at how many countries in the world use the metric system. All but those three we talked about in the last video use metric. So this is centimeters, meters, grams, kilometers, liters, etc. So we're going to look at how do we convert within these units. Now, imperial units that we learned in the last video were based on reference. Metric units are based on multiples of 10. So everything is increasing by a factor of 10. Here's some of the most common metric conversions. 1 kilometer is 1,000 meters, 1 meter is 100 centimeters, and 1 centimeter is 10 millimeters. Now, I don't memorize those conversion statements in that table. I've actually learned the metric system using this mnemonic device. And how do I know it works? Well, I still remember how to do it. So it's a little bit of a sad tale about King Henry, and poor King Henry died and his uncle didn't care much. So a little bit of a sad tale, but a great way of remembering how to convert in the metric system. So each one of those letters corresponds to a prefix in the metric system. So King, K stands for kilo. H, Henry, stands for hecto. D, died, stands for deca. U and uncle stands for the unit. Now, the unit in the metric system might be meters, grams, or liters. D for didn't is deci, C for care is centi, and M for much is milli. So I write this out anytime I want to do conversions in the metric system. Now, how do I know what the units are? Well, if you look at meters, everything ends in an M for meters. If you look at, for example, grams, everything ends in a gram. So that's how I recognize my units. Now, writing this out helps me convert because remember I said it was multiples of 10. So as I move to the right, I multiply by 10 or move my decimal right for each jump. Conversely, anytime I move to the left, I'm going to divide by 10 or move my decimal left for each jump. So I'm going to show you two examples of this. So in my first example here, I want to convert 250 meters to kilometers. Now, I can use my conversion statement like I did in the last video, or I can use my little trick here. So I write it out. King Henry died, uncle didn't care much. So I'm converting meters to kilometers. So I know my units are meters, and this is where I'm going to start because I'm going from meters to kilometers. So kilometers stand for the K, this is my kilometers, and this is where I want to end up. So I'm starting at my units, and I'm going to move my decimal 1, 2, 3 units to the left. So the same direction that I jump is the same direction that I move my decimal. So I have 450. There is no decimal, so for whole numbers, the decimal is always at the end, and I'll move that over 3 times. 1, 2, 3. So what that tells me is that 400 meters is the same as 0.45 kilometers. Now let's check if that's right with our conversion statements. So here I have that 1 kilometer equals to 1,000 meters. So 1 kilometer equals 1,000 meters. And I want to know how many kilometers there are in 450 meters. So just like we did last time, I'm going to cross multiply and divide. And when I do 450 multiplied by 1 divided by 1,000, I in fact get the same answer, 0.45 kilometers. So it does work. Let's try another one. I want to convert 45 decameters to centimeters. Now, I don't have any conversion statements for that, so I need to go to my little mnemonic device. So the first D stands for decameters. This one here is decimeters. So I have decameters. That's where I'm going to start. And I want to convert decameters to centimeters. So I'm going to end up at C for centimeter. That's where I'm going to end up. So to go there, I'm going to move my decimal 1, 2, 3 units to the right. Oops, 3 units to the right. So I move my decimal the same direction that I do on this little chart. So I have 45 decameters. Now the decimal is at the end because it's a whole number. So I move it over 3 times to the right. And in those empty bumps, I put zeros. So what that tells me is that 45 decameters is the same as 45,000 centimeters. So when I move to the right, I get bigger. When I move to the left, I get smaller. So now that we've seen the metric system, let's compare the metric and the imperial system together. So this is the conversion table that you have on your formula sheet, and we're going to use it just like we did for all the other questions. Find the conversion you're interested in, and just make sure all your units line up. So in this one here, I have a bowling lane that is approximately 19 meters long. I want to know what the measurement is to the nearest foot. So meters and feet. So you can use this one or you can use this one. It doesn't matter which one you use as long as you line them up correctly. So I'll go with the first one that I saw. And I'll write it out. 1 foot is 0.3048 meters. Now I want to know how long 19 meters is, so I line it up with the meters in feet. So there's my variable. So I'm going to cross multiply and divide. So 19 multiplied by 1 divided by 0.3048. So when I put that into my calculator, I'm going to end up with 62.3359, etc. But they said they want it to the nearest foot, so I'll round that to 62. So what that means is that 19 meters is approximately 62 feet. Okay, in our last example, this one here is probably pretty applicable anytime you're going to do some traveling in the States. So our cars are measured on the speedometer in kilometers per hour. And when you go to the States, it's measured in miles per hour. So if you were going, for example, 60 on your speedometer in the States, you would not be going 60 kilometers an hour. You'd be going almost more than 100 kilometers an hour. So you have to be super careful on that. So we have Natalie who's driving 62 miles an hour and Mateo who's driving 98 kilometers per hour. I want to know who drove faster. So I just have to convert one measurement to the other. So miles to kilometers or kilometers to miles, doesn't matter which. So since we use kilometers, let's convert Natalie's speed. So they're both in an hour, which is great. We just have to change the units. So I want to change miles to kilometers. So I can use this conversion statement or this one. It doesn't matter which one. So I'll use the first one I saw. 1 mile is 1.609 kilometers. I want to know what 62 miles is. So there's my variable. So again, I'm going to cross multiply and divide. 62 times 1.609 divided by 1. So I put that into my calculator and I get 99.7747, etc. So now they're in the same unit. So what I can say is that Natalie is driving approximately 100 kilometers per hour. Mateo is driving 98 kilometers per hour. So I can see that Natalie is in fact going faster. So this video all about converting between imperial and metric systems. So a scene like this might happen in the States where you're going to convert, it's a conversion exchange, you're going to exchange your feet for meters. Get it? Little currency conversion. So I hope this video helped, and I do look forward to seeing you for the next one.